Thanks for joining me this week on the show. I am joined by Valencia Dantzler, the Gratitude Grand Master. She helps folks struggling with burnout and high achievers reset and recover by leveraging the power of gratitude and other neural practices to help our brains invite more ease, more flow, and more joy into our lives. I know you're going to get so much out of this conversation. It's time to flip the script on stress and learn how to thrive today and throughout your days. Join me for inspiration and interviews with folks who are shining their light in the world in the areas of positive mindset, health, and well-being. I'm your host, Susi Vine. Let's get happified. Welcome back. I am so happy to have you with us this week for a conversation with the lovely Valencia Dantzler, who is going to help us take a look at some of the things that tend to hold back even the high achievers amongst us. Valencia Dantzler is known worldwide as the Gratitude Grand Master. She's the go-to expert for busy executives who want to transform their lives without spending hours on complicated mindset work. She helps high-achieving professionals turn their biggest challenges into breakthrough moments using simple, science-backed gratitude practices. Her approach combines the simplicity of gratitude with proven brain science, helping leaders get unstuck and achieve their biggest goals in weeks, not in years. So you can tell why I'm already excited to have this conversation. I love helping high achievers get out of their own way. And, by nature of really wanting to strive and achieve more, along with that comes stress, comes imposter syndrome, and unfortunately, a lot of times comes burnout, which I know is something else that you're able to support your clients in. So, Val, thank you so much, first of all, for joining me today. I know we're really going to get into it in this conversation. Can you start out by giving us an idea of how you came to see the need in this space and how you can help these folks work through these
Oh,
challenges?
yes. Well, thank you, Susie, so much. And first, before we get started, I want to thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be here with you today. And for all the listeners out there right now, I want you to like her podcast. I want you to subscribe to it, share it out, okay? Because the energy that I'm feeling from Susie right now is fantastic. So I know that this is going to be a great discussion.
Thank you, Val.
You welcome. You welcome. So let me tell you, I was my first customer, okay? I was my first client. And several years ago, I'm sure we'll get into it, I found myself at a very, very dark place. And I was burnt out, stressed out, and I felt like saying, I was about to say goodbye to this whole world, okay? That's how bad it had got. So, yeah, I was my first client. Okay. And I'm telling you, I am here today with a smile on my face. I feel great. Everything that you see and hear from me, there's nothing fake about it. I'm a real energy type person. So if I can come from where I was to where I am now, and I'm not perfect or anything like that, but there's hope for everyone out there listening.
That is such an important message. I think it's so easy for us to measure ourselves against the way we perceive other people. So thank you for starting us off with real facts.
Yes.
And so, how did you come to be working with professionals in this space? Did you come from a more corporate environment yourself?
Oh, yeah. So I've been in management, upper management, for many, many years. And so I have a banking background, all right, as well as a telecommunications background. And so I was very stressed and burned out by really climbing that corporate ladder and everything that you have to do and deal with to be within that corporate ladder. I found there was stress in what my true calling is to help people and the way that leadership wanted me to be. And I found that there was stress as far as not being true to myself. And so when a person can no longer really be true with themselves, their values, they're stressed there. I was basically found myself living a lie. And so then the question became, well, how long can you live this lie? How long can you keep up with this? Right? Because every time I had to do something that didn't go along with my value, it tore me up inside. Right? Almost to the point where I didn't even know who I was. So I found myself in this, so to speak, place of discontentment, right? And that led to a lot of stress. That led to a lot of dismal looking at my surroundings. And I just looked around one day and I said, who am I? How did I get here? I don't like it. And I really didn't see a way out.
And what I hear you talking about is what I think so many people experience, that, it can be gradual, but coming to a place where we're not in alignment anymore with who we are, with our values, our priorities have been dictated to us, especially when we start trying to work our way up that ladder, because that's what we've been told success looks like, is to get up that ladder.
Right. By any means necessary too, sometimes, right? If you're very ambitious, I'm a very ambitious person, right? And when you're young, of course, I graduated from college, age 20, getting out with honor, summa cum laude, right? So everything that I've ever done, I've always excelled and gone to the highest point that I could get to. And so when you're in corporate America and you're young, anything that they tell you to do, oh, okay, I'll do it and I'll do it better than anyone else, until it starts to really hurt. And you're like, wait a minute, you start waking up.
Yes. And when you came to that place, when you were really feeling at your lowest, when you started to recognize that you were this burned out, do you have the reflection of someone else help you recognize this? Or did you just come to a point where you said enough is enough and it's time to find your way out yourself? How did you turn things around?
Well, I grew up in the church, right? And I had that background. And so when I got into corporate America, I was just the type of person, anything that you told me to do, I would blindly do it. And like I said, do it to my best. But I got to a point where I said, wait a minute, the math is not mathing. Okay. I'm not supposed to be feeling this way, right? And so it was a conflict within myself. And I said, wait a minute, I do not like what I'm feeling. I don't like what I'm seeing. And I would try different things, right? And nothing really worked for me. And that's where I had gotten to that point of wanting to say bye-bye. And I had set the date and everything. And then, as the universe would have it, I discovered something called gratitude. And that changed me.
And so I think in these days, and I live in a bit of a bubble, I willingly admit, I'm in Southern California. Holistic well-being is very front of mind. It's not hard to find people who are embracing a gratitude practice. But I think for a lot of people, when they hear that, they're like, really? You can turn things around from that kind of a dark place by finding gratitude? How did that start to break through everything that you were carrying and feeling at that point?
Right. Well, you know what? I said the same thing too. I really did. I actually was flipping through and I overheard a video, and it was someone talking about some of everything. And she mentioned slightly how she started thinking about what she was grateful for every morning, and how she started doing this every morning. And now all of a sudden she's living the life of her dreams. Now, when I heard that, you got to understand where I was. I had already set, I'm an appointment type person. I'm a calendar girl. So when I say I'm going to put something in my calendar, I do it. I actually put the date of the event in my calendar. I knew what I was going to do. And I had convinced myself, right? All the convincing. So where I was when I heard that, I knew it wasn't going to work. I was like, there's no way this is going to work. But remember, I told you I grew up in the church, right? And nobody knew this, right? Of course, no one knew this. If I go, when I do that and I make it to the pearly gate and God doesn't let me in because he says, I sent you a message and you didn't follow it. And now you've done this. So it's crazy that might sound. I said, I'm just going to do it. And I hadn't journaled. I said, well, instead of thinking about it, I'm not going to think about it because I'm thinking about as soon as I wake up, all of the bad things. And I'm rehearsing that over and over and over and over again. And now I know, now I'm a neuroencoding specialist, right? So now I understand the science behind all of this, right? But I kept rehearsing this bad stuff in my head over and over again. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to get a journal. I haven't journaled since I was 7. And I'm going to start writing down 3 things that I'm grateful for in the morning. Because if I don't do it, if I don't put the journal beside my bed, I'll forget about it. I won't do it. And I put it right. I actually slept with the journal. But I said no one else was sleeping with me, so it doesn't. So I slept beside the journal just so when I would feel it in the morning, I would remember that I made this commitment to do this for, I think it was like 5 days, 5 or 6 days. And I just said I was going to do it. And the rest is now history. I started feeling a little bit better by the end of that 5th day. And I just said, well, maybe I'll delay it another week because there's no way that this is working. And I started doing it again that following Monday. And by the end of the 2nd week, I felt even better. There's no way that this could be happening, but let me just stick with it again, right? And by the end of the month, Susie, I can tell you, honestly, that was the only thing that I changed. I wanted to live like never before. I wanted to live. I had a book, a journal with everything handwritten of what I was grateful for. And it changed my mind. And yeah, I still do it today. This is my gratitude.
In your beautiful, vibrant orange color. I love it.
Yes,
I love it. I'm so glad you brought 7-year-old Val back out to play. Let's
yes.
try this journaling thing again. That's really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing it, because I think anybody who has thought about it and said, how much difference can it make? Like, you really lived that experience of just how much it can transform your life. That's so powerful. And
Yeah,
I'm so grateful you listened to that angel that said, what if you're missing the message?
exactly. Now I know that what you truly wants you. A little bit of quantum physics, right? And so I understand this now. Nobody really wants to make that date. Nobody really wants to do that. But I had convinced myself. I had fully programmed myself. And now I know that you can program yourself out of it. Well, so it's very powerful, the creation that we are and the mind that we have. It's very, very beautiful. And so, yeah, that was it. I think I was at the point of no return. And so I just said, well, I'll just try this on my way out. At least I'll have some evidence left behind that I tried, right? That was really my thought pattern then. But I've got a lot of evidence that it worked now.
Building and building every day. And so you mentioned that now you're a neural encoding specialist. So let us know a little bit about, how do we do that? How do we program our minds, and what capacity do we have to reprogram them?
Oh my goodness. There's so many different things that you can do. But one of the philosophies is what you write, you invite.
Oh, I haven't heard that one. What
Actually,
you write, you invite.
what you write, you invite. Okay. So that means what you write, you can help reprogram that subconscious mind, which is way more powerful than a conscious or thinking mind. Okay. So this is amazing when I found this out, because I just kept getting downloads, Susie, I didn't know how to do any of this. Something said, write it down in a journal. And I hadn't journaled since I was 7. But by writing it down, what I was grateful for, I actually embedded it in my subconscious mind, which is way more powerful than that conscious mind that I had used to program myself to look at all the bad things that were going on in my life, all the relationships that didn't work out, the money that I didn't have, even though I'm ambitious. I want to do this. I want to do that. Right. All of those things that were telling me, I was consciously telling myself, I'm not good enough. But I can wake up early in the morning. My brain is at a different wave, right? It's receiving a lot at that time. And I'm writing down what I'm grateful for and I'm sealing it into my subconscious mind. Just, it was the universe that gave me the download for this.
It's so beautiful. It's so powerful. And people talk about the gratitude practice. And I've heard people say you can do it in the morning, you can do it at nighttime. And I generally tell people, do it when it works for you. But you're really bringing home to me the value of starting your day in that mindset, because
Right.
Michelle Gielan did research. She was a news anchor talking about the negative priming of media and the way it changes our mood and our perception, literally, of the things we encounter for the next 8 hours, I think they measured. And on the other side of that, positively priming our mind, waking up and starting your day in that space of gratitude, putting your mind
Right.
there. And the neuroplasticity, right? The more we do it, the more cemented it is, the more our brain is wired to look for good things. So
Yes.
juicy. I love our brains. They're so cool.
Yeah. It's just a magnificent creation that we are. And yeah, you're absolutely right. All those years when I woke up thinking about all the things that went wrong with me, I was programming myself for that, right? The neuroplasticity that you talked about. And I agree with you. Do your gratitude whenever you can. Just do it. Okay. Make it a practice. Doing it in the morning for me, it magnifies and magnetizes my entire day. It's very powerful. It is also powerful at night too, because of the way that our brain works. You will sleep well. I've done it both times, several times during the day, right? I've done it in the middle of the day because sometimes life will be lifing. You'll have a bad day. And I will say, wait, let me get my tools out. What are my tools? My journal is one of my tools. And I will sit here and I will write down, right now, write down what you're grateful for, 3 to 5 things. And then I like to put my little stickers and in there and make it fun because that does something for the brain as well. And yeah, instantly my whole attitude will change for the better. So it's very powerful.
I love it. I love it. And I'm a shop girl. I love the tools in the toolkit. So we'll keep on digging into those today. I want to ask, though, about how being out of alignment can kind of bring us into that space of burnout. Are there other traits or habits that you find in the people that you're supporting that also kind of tip them into that space of burnout?
Yeah. Basically, we used to feel as women, well, I guess growing up, you put everything ahead of yourself, your husband, your kids, your job. That means your boss, right? We don't take care of ourselves. We don't give ourselves self-care. So when we don't bring attention to ourselves, it was really shunned, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we don't take care of ourselves, it's almost like being on a plane, you know? Once those airbags come down, they don't say put it on your 6-year-old child first or your husband first. You have to put it on yourself first. You have to save yourself first so that you can be strong enough to help someone else. And so that is so true. We have to do that. So we have to take priority and take care of ourselves. And taking care of your mental is very important. That's everything. So a lot of the women that I deal with, they've gotten in that trap where they have not put themselves first.
I think so too. And I think I say this a lot on my show, but I think we are really healing some generational wounds because as we bring this home and we learn these lessons, our children are learning by that example that their
Mhm.
well-being is important.
Yes.
They're not
And there's
putting
something
themselves.
called epigenetics,
Yes.
which is very deep. That means just being born into the world, you can actually have already taken on something that your grandfather was dealing with, your grandmother was dealing, your great 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 grandmother was dealing with. I know what my lineage has been, right? We don't know how to process that out. We're not taught that. And it's very important that we do. And like I said, like I told you, I grew up in the church, right? But the church wasn't enough for me, and there's nothing wrong with it. But that was not enough. There's actual processes that you can do that are going to really help you as well as that.
It starts with awareness, and then we have to keep calling on those tools.
Yes, they're tools. Exactly.
Yes. Beautiful. Is that something where the neural encoding comes in, or do you have some other favorite techniques for that, working through those kind of deeper generational issues?
Oh, yeah. Neuroencoding really covers it all. There's something that we use, it's called the stop technique, which is a physical technique that you do. I mean, you have to jump up and you're tapping as well. You're pointing to yourself and you're saying a positive affirmation. But just by doing that, a lot of my clients, I give that to them. And within a week, they're able to really definitely see a big difference in themselves. So the stop technique is one thing that we definitely do. And you're able to find out really through my whole process, what is it that you want, right? That's the main thing. It's not even really where it came from. We can go back to epigenetics, right? Okay, so I know that I have a keenness to drinking a lot of alcohol because my great 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 grandfather was a drunk. All right, now that I know that, now what? So, yes, there is a thing called epigenetics, but just because we know why something is, it doesn't really necessarily help us right now. We don't have to know really the why. We need to know the what is it that you want. That can come from scripting what you really want. Scripting, writing down in first person the life that you really want as though it's happening right now, and be very, very descriptive with it, right? Then we can take that information and we can reinforce that with things like the stop technique, with the gratitude, and those types of.
I think that's really powerful, that invitation to get really clear on what you want, to really integrate it by bringing all your senses to it. Do you find in some of the folks that you're working with, does that come easily to people knowing what they really want?
No.
Why is that?
That is one of the most difficult things, and even for myself in my own journey. I remember when I didn't even have the confidence to ask myself, within myself, what is it that I really, really wanted? We have things called imposter syndrome that you spoke of earlier, when we think we're not good enough, and we would not dare even think. We won't even let ourselves think, oh, there's no way that I could have that. So I won't even think of it. No. Let me think of something that I think I can get. And that is an error. We should not do that.
Mm.
And I remember hearing that years and years ago. Dream is as big a dream as you can dream, right? And it would be like, why would I even do that? But now, of course, I know, yes, dream big and make it crystal clear. Because that is the thing that propels us, right? We can use that and put ourselves in a state of actually being there. And then, of course, if I get into quantum physics a little bit, that place is really real. It really does exist. And with what you want, right? And yourself, as it gets closer and closer, what you want really wants you, it gets, you start doing those activities that you really want to do, it gets there fast.
Right. So it's worth putting in the work. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for delving into that, because that's something that it really pains me to see people struggle with it. And thank you for being transparent. It is something that I go round and round with too. I'm good at doing lots of stuff, but it's awful hard to pull a lot of stuff in at the same time.
I mean, there's so many things. I call them the toxic 10. There's self-doubt. There's hesitation, procrastination. All of those things, those are part of what I call the toxic 10, right? And they keep us from what it is that we really, really, really want. And it keeps us even from even having the confidence to think about what it is that we really, really want. But if you let yourself go there, and this is part of doing the work, if you really let yourself go there and really do the work, you will see things start to happen. If you have the correct tools as well, you will see things start to happen.
And I think too, it's important to come back to. I love the saying, and I can't begin to think of who I heard say it first, but you can't read the label when you're inside the jar, which is the beauty of working with somebody who has the experience, has come through this process themselves, has the tools to say, try this.
Yes. Yeah.
Getting closer.
I learned this from the great Les Brown. He said, you can't, if you're in the picture, you can't even see the frame. But if you have a coach or an expert, they can see you in the picture. They see the frame, they see everything. And they say, okay, we'll go to the left a little bit. Okay, back up, go this way, look up, walk that way. And all of a sudden, you got it. You know, you walk outside of the picture, you can say, oh, there's this, oh, I was in that frame, that box. That's what I was in all my life, and I thought I couldn't get out of it. So a lot of times it does take an expert or a coach to help you with that.
So how do you combine neuroscience with these gratitude practices as you're working with your clients?
Well, I have something that I call the Fly High framework that I use, right? I always say, if you're high, you can fly. But if you're low, your very destiny you will blow. And you don't want to blow your destiny, right? And so I use a lot of what I've learned in neuroscience, because I'm telling you, when I came that first month when I did the gratitude, it made me want to delve in a little bit more and say, what just happened and why did it happen? And that's when I discovered neuroencoding, right? And so neuroencoding just allowed me to cross all my T's and dot all my I's and understand what the heck just happened. With me, one of the first things is we'll definitely have that discussion. I will take you through some exercises so that the first thing is, what is it that you want? Like, what is it that you really want? Not your mom, not your dad, not your husband, not what anybody expects of you, but what do you really, really want inside? And so there's several different modalities that I use to help you go inside yourself and find out what it is that you really, really want. But neuroencoding is the science behind why all of this works and why gratitude works, because it's one of the highest, it's on the magnitude of love. It's on that vibration of love. So, you know, love is everything. So it brings you out.
Gets you high so you can fly.
Exactly.
And what would you say in terms of where people are coming from? We don't have to reach burnout before we look for help or ways to course correct. And I do think that resilience is a really important skill, muscle to build. How do you look at resilience and how do you support your clients in calling that in?
Oh, yeah. So resilience is a wonderful thing that we all need that, right? And even myself, I've found myself at the beginning of this year saying, wow, life be lifing to all of us. And so I always say school is never out for the pro either. So Even though I practice gratitude every day and I write it down, I myself had to beat up on my resiliency skills because life be lifing. All right. And I took myself through a practice, and I like journal. Again, journaling is one of my greatest tool. And I took myself through some different prompts and things so that I could get deeper in myself and say, hey, what is really going on here? Where is this coming from? And so now, you're feeling unsure about the future because you have uncertainty in this area. Okay, how can we beef this up? Let me be grateful for something in this very moment. I'm grateful that this happened for me because that's something I need to realize within myself to be even stronger in, more resilient in. Okay, so now I'm grateful that this life event happened, right? Because everything's happening for a reason. And so now, all right, I'm grateful for it. What lessons have I learned from this? I started writing those things down. I started scripting. Okay, what is it that I really want? And I started scripting that. And so it really became a beautiful revelation. And I'm telling you, I was able to overcome, and it feels good when you feel yourself getting better.
It really does. What do they also say? Pain pushes until pleasure pulls, right? Like when we
Exactly.
get in that situation and we decide, because it takes that decision, that commitment, like we're not staying here where we are. And I think that's a wonderful invitation to bring curiosity to it, to ask what's going on, what isn't working for me here. My friend Juliette Bastian calls them the blessings and the lessons.
Exactly. That's what life is. Life is a big lesson.
Mhm.
We are here to learn and to get better and better and better and to help other people as well. I don't believe we're here just for life to just be perfect. And there are lessons for us to learn here while we're here. And as we learn these lessons, we can help other people along the way.
Yes. And I think it's important to remind people too, that resilience, some people are born perhaps with more resilience to the way we go through things in this world. But for the most part, we develop and we gain resilience through going through those tough times. So we can't expect for it to come easily all the time. We have to be cultivating it and coming back to it and inquiring, how can I learn from this? How can I not come through this particular lesson again? Although
Right.
this life school, it serves up the lessons. We don't always get to choose what we're signing up for.
Exactly. You don't. And it's strange because no one wants problems, right? But we know that this is a part of life. But if you know that, okay, I can go through this problem and I can overcome it, I can learn from it, then that reframes it, doesn't it? And it puts it in a whole new perspective. Just know that there isn't anything that you can't overcome if you are willing to go deep inside and learn and overcome and do the work. But it's when we give up, that's when there's a lot of difficulty.
And I think too, I think you really hit on something there when you said when you're willing to look inside. Do you have an idea why people I feel like people resist that.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, there are even things that I don't want to look at. There are parts of my past I don't want to go back there. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to even remember that. I want to purposely forget that. So even with myself, I have to say, okay, Val, now what is it that you are afraid of? Because you are on the other side of it now, right? Why is it difficult for us to revisit that pain that we felt, right? I guess because we always want pleasure, and that's just the way that we are built, is that we want pleasure. But we can learn from that pain and overcome and make ourselves even more resilient. So yeah.
So there's hope. There's hope for all of us.
Yes, there is.
So you shared with me that you have something you'd like to share with our audience today. Can you give them an idea what that is?
Yeah. So I talked a little bit about having a toolbox. And so you have a wrench, you have a hammer, you have several different things in your toolbox. And so I have a little toolbox kit for your listeners. And it's something that usually with my clients, this is something I normally charge them for this, right? But I want to do something special for your listener today. And I want to give it to them absolutely free. Okay. So they can go to my Instagram. Most people have Instagram. Go to @Val Dantzler and just send me a message. Gratitude 02. Okay. If you send me a DM with that, I will make sure that you get your little toolbox.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Of nice little goodies inside.
That's perfect. We'll have those details in the show notes so you can click down and find those on Instagram @Val Dantzler. Gratitude 02.
Right. Gratitude 02.
All right. Beautiful. I think it's so important. And on behalf of everybody listening, I will thank you because I already told you I love tools. There are some universal things that help people, and maybe they come along at different points in the process. So we might not feel like every tool is working. So I love to have a selection to see what works for you right now, right? We don't always need the
Right.
hammer. Sometimes
Right.
we need the wrench. You got to start here.
That's it. And that's the beauty of the toolbox, right? Because it's not for you to use all of them at the same time. No. I just go in that tool and pick out what you need, okay, and leave the rest for later.
Can you share with us if there was one or two things that you wish people knew? So maybe folks who are in the same kind of work environment that you have come from, really trying to chase success and feeling like you're just climbing the ladder and you can't see where it's taking you.
Mhm.
What would you share with them?
I would share with them, just stop for just a second. This works amazingly. Grab a piece of paper and just write down 3 things really quick that you're grateful for. Boom. Just do that because that will reframe the situation that you're in right now, and you'll begin to look at what you are grateful for. And it's almost like you're putting on another pair of glasses and you're looking at the same thing and you're looking at it differently, right? Do that. Now, you can always go beyond that, and it's okay for you to talk to someone and get help. Okay? That's okay for you to do that. So do those 2 things.
And connect with Val on Instagram for more inspiration and tips because I know she's good for that. The Gratitude Grandmaster has those available for us. I think that's so important because we tend to get stuck in the loop of our own thoughts, of our frustrations, of our self-criticisms, and not recognize that changing our perspective, just breaking that cycle and refocusing our mind on something that brings us joy, those little glimmers of gratitude. It doesn't have to be much. No traffic on the way to work, or I'm working from home. I get to work in my pajamas today.
Right.
There is something there, right? So thank you for that. It's beautiful to get reminders at how powerful and transformative what seems to be a pretty simple practice can really be.
Yes. It's very simple, but it is so powerful. And I would not be here today if I had not done that simple thing. And that's real. And that's why I have to tell the world this because it can
Right?
be that simple.
Yeah. And simple might not be easy. However,
Right. Exactly.
everything starts somewhere. Everything starts somewhere.
Exactly.
Marvelous. And I like to share too, since I like to help folks recover from stress. We've certainly been talking about that today. Are there any other practices that you love to call upon when you're feeling stressed, when you need to hit reset? Is there something that you do to take care of Val?
Yes. I've gotten into yoga and stretching and feeling my body and just falling in love with that, right? How could I even forget my number one? Well, I'll say my number 2 after my gratitude journal. Meditation. Meditation, putting on a little bit of frequency music, a little 432 frequency, meditating at the same time. and getting those downloads. That right there, I love to meditate.
I love it. And it is a practice. It doesn't come easily starting out. And I think that's a beautiful invitation too, because yoga, which I have come and gone from over the years, and now my girl Adrienne on YouTube and I, we get it going. But it is such a wonderful opportunity to check in with your body.
Yeah.
Feeling that stretch in the muscles and that ache in the joints when you're really dropping into a good stretch, like that's an opportunity for gratitude for my body moving the way that it does today, even if it's not the way I think it should. My body is moving. I have the awareness of these sensations, and that is that entry point for mindfulness. That's cousin to meditation right there.
Yes. And being what I call being gracious with myself as I get older, things don't work the way they used to work. That stretch that I could do 10 years ago, okay, I feel myself getting a little frustrated because I can't get that stretch like I used to, but Val, just be gracious with yourself. It's okay. Maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow it'll be better after this stretch. And just being kinder to myself is something that I practice as well as I get older, definitely.
Definitely. I'm going to hold on to that one. I'm adding that to my self-care toolkit, being gracious with myself.
Yes.
That's a lovely invitation.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, this has been a treat. Thank you, beautiful Val Dantzler, for shining your light and bringing your energy to the show. I'm so grateful that we've been connected, going coast to coast, where you are in South Carolina, for doing your work and bringing this message.
Thank you for having me, and I wish you the best. I love your show, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And you take good care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. You'll find all the resources we discussed today online at happifiedlife.com, along with links to subscribe to Happified on your favorite player and a handy search tool so you can search all of our previous episodes. Help us grow by leaving a quick review and share this episode with a friend. Until next time, keep on shining.